This is the Japanese Tier 8 cruiser, the Mogami. I'm going to show you how she's put together and take her out for a spin, show you how this ship fights. I was hoping to show you the bone stock model and then tell you about the changes that I'd made, but wouldn't you know it, halfway through that recording I got booted off the system, and by the time I got back into the battle, it was a fouled up recording. So this is going to be the second ever battle that I've had in the Mogami. Let's go ahead and take a look at her. You can see she's a gorgeous ship to look at. Graceful lines. I'll hand it to the World War II Japanese designers. They really made a beautiful ship. Now let's take a look at her armor. Her armor is between, well, I'd say mediocre and not so good. She can take some hits, but not very much. You do not want to be the center of attention at any time if you're on the Mogami. But her citadel is situated very low, and there's not much of it exposed. Only 100 millimeters there, and a little bit more on top. Let's go ahead and put in the next layer. That's an additional 25 millimeters on top of that. And then our superstructure is probably around 16, that's nice. But then she's also got this extra plating on the outside, 12 millimeters, torpedo bulges, 25 up at the nose. Her guns are surprisingly, they're more heavily armored deep in the boat than they are up top. Well, at least you got 5 of them. So let's take a look at her hit points. She has 42,300. Now, bear in mind that is buffed. I actually increased the hit points on the ship with captain skills and by getting upgraded hulls. And you'll see more about that a little bit later on. Now, her main guns, 203 millimeter, 5 turrets, each turret with 2 guns for a total of 10 guns. Which is a decent size, not the biggest for a lot of cruisers, but she does have a decent reload time, which is also is buffed, by the way. 15 seconds. So you're going to have to make your shots count with these guns. The turret rotation is 26.9 seconds, so the boat turns faster than the turrets do. You might find yourself turning the whole boat to get the turrets lined up. But battleships are only 30 seconds. So, yeah, it's a little long, but it's still workable. Really nice thing is the maximum dispersion at full range, only 131 meters. That is buffed by 7%. And that's really accurate. You definitely want to be accurate with this ship because those 203s will do damage when you're landing a lot of hits. The high explosive damage is 3,300 on a good hit, and the AP is 4,700 on a good hit. Not much, but it does add up when you're firing 12 shots or 10 shots every 15 seconds. It does add up. Also, the velocity on these shells is a little low. The benefit of that is at range, the shells will come plunging down out of the sky and go through the decks, which is a great way to get internal damage. The Mogami is very well suited to taking out destroyers. If you see a destroyer, go after her, because this ship will chew up destroyers. Against other cruisers, you're going to have to be mindful about using cover and maintaining distance, because if it's a heavy cruiser, they're going to have heavy guns and they're going to get through you. Against a battleship, don't go near a battleship. Battleships are made to destroy cruisers, and they are very good at it. And with the armor on this boat, you're great against destroyers and mediocre against cruisers, but a battleship? No, definitely not. So don't go against a battleship if you have to, or unless you have to. She does have secondary armament that's not half bad. Reload time 7.5 seconds. Short range though, only 5.3 kilometers. And she only fires high explosive in her secondaries. But at 2100 per hit on a good hit, that's not bad. And you'll be relying on those secondaries if anything gets near you, because your turrets are going to rotate so slowly that an enemy getting close to you is going to have you nailed. And you don't want that. So do your best to remain at distance from the enemy. Don't push in close. Not on this boat. Now, if you do want to be pushing in close, if that's just the way you roll, there are some modifications and modules and captain skills that will help you, but we'll go over that in a minute. Main battery range 15.7 kilometers, but that is buffed. And they'll spot you at 9.6 kilometers range. Now this is really impressive. The Mogami has big honking torpedoes. The port side and the starboard side each have 2 launchers for a total of 4. Each launcher fires 4 torpedoes, the big 610 millimeter jobs. And they'll travel 10 kilometers and they're moving. They go 62 knots. And if they hit, they do an incredible amount of damage, 17,000 and change. So if you get the opportunity to launch torpedoes and you got a shot, take it. You got nothing to lose and everything to gain. The one thing you do have to watch out for if you're shooting long-range torpedoes is when you're zoomed in, you will not be able to see friendlies that are steaming into harm's way. If you zoom out and look around, you really should. You'll be able to know whether or not a friendly is going to accidentally meet up with your torpedoes at 8 kilometers distance. So pay attention when you're going to use those torps, because once you fire it, there are no friendly torpedoes. Now the AA is quite respectable, and of course this is buffed AA. I like a lot of AA on my boats, especially when I know that they are easy to sink with mediocre armor. She's got 4 turrets, 2 each side of 2 guns, 127 millimeter with a range of 5 kilometers, which is enough to maybe throw off the aim of your enemy bombers and enemy torpedo bombers coming in at you. But the real jewel is in her 25 millimeters. She's got a lot of them. A lot of them. You can add up the number there. Those are only good to 3.1 kilometers, but anything that comes within 3.1 kilometers of this boat is gonna get chewed up. So that's nice. Bone stock, you don't get that many guns, but like I said, I buffed this. Maximum speed 34.5, which is quite respectable, and a rudder shift time of 7.1. That is not stock. The rudder shift time is more like 10 seconds bone stock. I went with some upgrades because I like to keep on the rudder, and that's the only thing that's really going to save you if you've got torpedoes coming in at you. Just don't let anybody get close enough to do that. So in modules, since this is a test server and it's not costing me a penny, I might as well just spend the money for the upgrades. Got 394 million of them. Yeah, I went with the main battery firing range extension to takes it out to 15.7. Bone stock, it's only 14.2. I also went with the B hull, and then I went ahead and bought the C hull, which really adds a lot of AA guns and hit points to your boat. And then I upgraded the guns, which is a trade-off. If you go with the upgraded guns, you'll get a faster reload but a slower turret rotation. Either that or a faster turret rotation and a slower reload. I forgot which one, but whatever it was, I felt it was worth it, so I went ahead and did that. Under consumables down there, you see you've got the letter Y for a catapult fighter, the letter T to put your anti-aircraft people on high alert. Both of those, you can't really change them. You might be able to, but that's the way it came, so I rolled with it anyway because I like anti-aircraft. Those things you definitely will find beneficial when the enemy is sending their airplanes at you. And of course the last one is damage control party. Now something to pay attention to is the enemy's aircraft. If they're smart about how they're sending in their aircraft, they're going to come at you with aerial bombers first, and then a few seconds later, maybe 30 seconds later, then they'll hit you with torpedo bombers. And the reason for that is they want to set you on fire, and then you're going to press damage control party 1, letter R. And once you've done that, it's going to be 81 seconds before you can use it again. And by then, they've got torpedoes on you. And that's when the real damage kicks in, because you're going to flood. So it's a good idea to practice, and hopefully by the time you get to high tiers, you'll be well practiced. And you don't have to put out a fire the moment you see it. If you see that the enemy is sending in aerial bombs followed up by torpedo bombers, then hold off, because you'll be really glad you did. On upgrades, you can see I chose concealment, minus 10% to detectability. That's just because I like to roll that way. If they can't see you, they're not going to shoot you. Damage control party modification 2. As you can see, that's all designed to help reduce the time it takes to put out fires and stop flooding. I guess you can tell I don't like taking damage. Damage control modification 1 just reduces the risk of fire further and reduces the likelihood of flooding further. All of these different things you can add together, and they're cumulative. You can add them together for higher and higher and higher levels of protection. The aiming systems modification 1, there was another modification that I considered on this, which speeds up reload time, but I decided that I'd rather have a little more accuracy in my shooting. You also get some other goodies there. And main armaments modification 1 is pretty much a no-brainer. You'll see just about everybody use that every time. So on the exterior, I decided, oh wait a minute, yeah, that's right, command skills. Knew I was forgetting something. So this is where I spend the 15 points on the captains, and this is one that's really going to be different for different players. For 1 point, I went with ship survivability. Why? Because it still reduces further the time it takes to repair, flooding, and recovery from torpedo hits, fire extinguishing. I don't like to take damage. Not when they have so little armor. Level 2, I went with Expert Marksman, which increases the traverse speed of the guns. Not by much, but it does help. There are actually quite a few options at this level, 2 points, that are really beneficial. The third one over from the left will reduce the likelihood of fire by 7%. But the fourth one over, the bullet with the triangle and the exclamation point, what that does is, if someone's shooting at you, the moment the computer senses that you've got incoming fire, that insignia pops up on your screen, and all you got to do is hit the rudder, and you can dodge bullets real easy that way. You don't have to be looking directly at a ship to know if it's firing at you. And of course, the fourth one, way over here, number 2, with the engine and the steering wheel and the wrench. If you go with that one, if the enemy bullseyes your rudder, or bullseyes your engine, or bullseyes both, you will still be able to drive the boat. Your engines will still work, your rudders will still run. Not as well as they did before, but if you like to go charging in and get shot at a lot, that is probably the way to go. Level 3, I went with high alert. Once again, that is to negative 10% to the reload time of the damage control party. So pretty much I'm out rigging out this boat to be quick to repair. A lot of people will go for the fifth item at 3 points. That's the one with the airplane with a circle around it, and the plus sign with a circle around it, and the smoke bomb, number 3. That one gives you more consumables. It gives you another catapult fighter, gives you more smoke. Very beneficial, and a lot of players go that way. Level 4, I went with Survivability Expert. It gives me an extra 400 hit points for each ship tier. This is a tier 8 times 4, 3,200. Nice. I'll take the hit points. There are some others that some people might want to use depending on their gameplay, like the number 1 spot, which is the shell with the fire insignia. You've got a much better chance of setting enemy ships on fire when you load that. And then I went with Concealment Expert to further decrease the detectability of my ship to enemies. But there are other ones you can use. For instance, the very first icon at the 5-point level, which has got the gun shell, the torpedo, the airplane, and the stopwatch with the number 5. That one, if you're down to like your last 10% of hit points, all of a sudden your reload time is reduced by 30%. 30% faster. So you become basically a flamethrower of shells and torpedoes. There are different ways you can go, depending on your gameplay. So we've looked at upgrades. We've looked at captain skills. We looked at artillery. I think we're ready to go ahead and head on into battle here. Let me zip ahead in the video. I was interrupted, but at the right time. And that's why there was a delay in the video. Alright, so this is the neighbors map. You can see we have no battleships. The neighbors, if there are battleships, they'll usually head off to the west in the wide open ocean, and everybody else heads off to the east where there's island cover. We have no battleships, so just about everybody is going to play it smart, and they're going to head north. We got one cruiser that's not going to do that. He actually does all right, though, in this battle. So knowing that I'm going to be shooting at ships that are nose-on to me, I am loading high explosive. I definitely want to use high explosive on these guys. Especially if it's a battleship, my gosh. A destroyer, Sorry, destroyer. Do not use AP on a destroyer. It's just going to punch a hole in their side and not detonate. High explosive will. Alright, let me zip ahead a little bit more. You can see from the mini-map, just about everybody is pushing north, playing it smart. Zip ahead a little more. Alright, so we've got on the mini-map 2 destroyers in range but behind islands, and 4 cruisers just coming into range, all behind islands. So I am going to be unloading on this destroyer. First one I see that pops out. Hey, there we go. Oh boy, he's close to a friend. Be real careful. Oh boy, that was close. Alright, so we took care of him. Let's see. Now, I'm gonna try and sneak a shot in. Well, he's gone. That's nice when that happens. Okay, 2 ships coming around this tip of the island. Notice I'm waiting about 1 second between shots. I do that because I can make changes to my point of aim, or my lead. Ouch. Okay, just lost about 10% of my health from 1 salvo. Somebody's shooting at me. I gotta get behind this island. I just got hit again. I'm gonna take a peek here. Alright. Now do you see in the middle of the screen there, you've got the 0 point on my aiming reticule and that little island insignia. It's white, a couple of triangles. That means that if I fire, my shots are likely to just hit that rock that you see at the bottom of the screen. I have taken shots with the island icon up, and sometimes 1 or 2 shells will get through, but not always. So I just decided to let it go and focus on these guys. Good lead. Salvo out. 5,000. Not bad. I wish I had AP loaded because that guy was broadside onto me. But this guy is nose onto me. You've got to use high explosive in these cases. AP will just bounce off of him. And you can see I've lost 33 1/3% of my health. This ship, it just doesn't have a lot of armor. Well, okay, so he's broadside on. I should go HE, but I guess I don't, or AP, but I guess I don't have to. Alright, so I'm going to pause this for a moment. If you take a look at the mini-map, you'll see 3 enemy ships, more or less in the middle, and one of them is just a couple minutes away from getting into our cap. We have no ships that can get into their cap, at least not in a hurry. We've got 2 friendlies. One of them is by me, and the other one's way off in the middle of open water land. So it would be smart for me to turn around and try to protect that cap. That's what our friend at H5 is going to be doing too. Going to try and sneak a couple into him. I really wish I'd been smart enough to get armor piercing loaded. But I was definitely not thinking. Might score a quick shot there. And, well, 1. That's better than nothing. Alright, so a lead of 10. And that's not enough. definitely not enough. I need to lead 15, maybe a bit more. Alright, so here we go. I'll lead 15. See what that does. And I just let fly with everything. Hope it works. Yes, sir. That's what we like. Next. Oh, we lost one of our friends. It's 2-2 now. You can see the shots from our friend come in. He's doing the same thing. He's playing smart. He's going after that lead boat. Hey, I finally got smart and loaded armor piercing. Okay, so my other friend got killed. I am alone, and these guys are going to focus on me. But since I loaded AP, you saw what just happened. 3 Citadel hits in one salvo. I'm broadside onto another Mogami. You can tell by the smokestack. Or just press the Alt key. Okay, he's gone. Mogamis don't got much in the way of armor. But that guy's got me zeroed. I better make this count. Good. Good, good. 1 Citadel, 4 other hits. Ah, torpedoes. That Mogami took a shot at me. That's why you never drive in straight lines. If I'd have hit those torpedoes, I'd be dead. Absolutely toast. I went ahead and put the fire out. I know I won't be able to put out the next one for another minute and 20 seconds. Landed 3. He's in our cap now. I can't torp him. Ouch. Alright, 2 more Citadels. Right on, so this is going to be over quick if it keeps up like this. Yep. Alright. The Mogami. Good ship. A little surprised I only got 1191 experience and did 7,500, 499 damage, but when you look at 7 Citadel hits, I'm happy. Sunk 4. I'm happy. Took number 1 on team score. That's always good. Don't get anything for it. Take a look at what I did here. I want to point this out. Against that Mogami, you can see I did 11 shots of high explosive for 7,800 damage and 8 shots of AP damage for 20,000. If you're on a Mogami, going against a Mogami, and you're broadside, use the AP. Against the New Orleans, armor piercing and high explosive. If you do the math, the armor piercing was the way to go, but not by much. It's probably because the New Orleans was nose on. And then you can take a look at the damage that I did for the Hipper and the other ships and find out what's the way to go on those. I didn't even get a shot off at those 2. Alrighty, so under credits and XP, you notice that I earned 116,568 silver, but I'm only taking home 38,112. If I had not been on a premium score, or premium day, you can see that I would have lost 744 silver on that match. As you get into tier 7, and then definitely at 8, 9, and 10, it gets real expensive to drive these ships. You're going to come out negative silver more than once. That is that. That is my second battle ever in the Mogami. Thank you so very much for watching. Stay safe and have fun.